Well, as Donald Trump said to each of his wives, I won't keep you long. We might as well get him out of the way. People always are saying that we should not speak ill of the dead. So I wish him a very happy early death. Yeah. Well, then he can go and make heaven great again. Yes, I was thinking about him the other day. I was at the zoo. And I was thinking, what is he going to do for a face now that the baboon wants his arse back? Well, he's a bit of a mean kind of a fellow. He went to the doctor for something or other, and the doctor found 2 lumps. Unfortunately, they were his testicles. And he was kissing one girl, and he was getting very aroused and what have you, so he guided her hand in the general direction of his penis, and he unzipped, and she felt it, and she said, "Oh, no, thank you, I don't smoke." But a friend of his said to him, how did you ever manage to marry that beautiful young girl? How did you manage that at your age? He said, well, I told her I was 95. Yeah, there it was. But at Christmas time, he got a gun when he was in Long Island, and he went out to the garden, and he shot it off. And then he came back in and told the kids that Santa had committed suicide. And he said his wife was always asking him for money. He said 400 one week, and then the next week 800, then 1,000. And the friend said to him, what did she spend all that money on? He said, I don't know. I don't ever give her any. There it be. So I think now that he's out of the way, I am here behind David Amram. I'm 88, and September 20th. So I am in what the Irish call the departure lounge. You look at it, and do you know that 2 people die every second, right? 120 every hour, and that will be about 15,000 in a day. So I think here we are. It's all your fault. That wouldn't have happened if you hadn't come here. But that'll be all right. And then, of course, in Ireland, people do die. Here they pass away, they pass on. They're no longer with us, they're with the Lord. She's gone to join her husband in heaven, as if she didn't have enough trouble with the old bastard here in this heaven. And so on. So look at the coffin with golden handles. Isn't it grand, boys, to be bloody well dead? Let's not have a sniffle, let's have a bloody good cry, and always remember the longer you live, the sooner you bloody well die. Look at the mourners, bloody great boozers. Isn't it grand, boys, to be bloody well dead? Let's not have a sniffle, let's have a bloody good cry, and always remember the longer you live, the sooner you bloody well die. Look at the preacher, A bloody great hypocrite. Isn't it grand, boys, to be bloody well dead? Let's not have a sniffle, let's have a bloody good cry, and always remember the longer you live, the sooner you bloody well die. I was born, actually, and people don't believe this, I was born in Brooklyn, at Greenpoint Hospital, and one of my siblings died, so that my mother had a breakdown, so we went off and to Ireland. My brother Frank, myself, twin boys, and my parents, and then the twin boys died over there, and two more were born. So anyway, it was a mixture of death, disease, and despair. But it was it was quite fascinating growing up in there, because we had to, being Yanks, we had to assimilate rather quickly. And the language, of course, is two countries like United States and Ireland separated by common language. And that's what somebody said about it anyway. And we had, although bad as things were, there was always sort of humor going on. And we had one politician. Now, some people think that politicians here are dopey, you know. You have this guy, Trump, I call him the 4F president, you know, future former fake Fox president. He was 4F in the service. He didn't go in because he had a bone spar on his penis. And now his kids are getting them because there's a possibility of war. So Eric and Ivan now have gone to the hospital to check their little bone spars. I was wondering about, there was one politician and they elected him all the time. Now the English used to come over when they occupied Ireland, then there was, they could stand over there, they stand for office, you see. And this guy comes over to represent, and they could do it, just come over and say, I'm representing you. You didn't have any choice in who would do it. So this guy comes over and he said, I was born an Englishman. I have lived an Englishman. And with God's help, I shall die an Englishman. From the back, Jesus, man, don't you have any fucking ambition? But there was one guy that we did, and we elected this fellow constantly. Dan Burke was his name. And he said, ladies and gentlemen and fellow patriots, welcome to this extinguished assemblage. Let me reiterate what I'm about to say. I see before me faces that are not here, and I also see a number of faces that I used to shake hands with. And I miss all the old faces here, and I'm here, and I'm here to talk to you today about the poor. Now, the poor has always voted for me, the poor has always voted for me, the poor has always been behind me, so it's my fond hope that you remain poor. And I promise to put shoes on all the poor, footless children of Limerick. For it's not the poor that tells the lies about me, oh no, to them snobs above on the hill. They have spread scandal about me. They have spread libel about me. They have even made allegations. I ask you, where are those libelers? Where are those scandalizers? Where are those alligators? They even said that if I were hanged for my intelligence, I would die completely innocent. That is a lie. Like half of the lies they tell about me are not true. And the other 3/4 are exaggerated. for I did my bit for Ireland, and I see before me men standing who died for Ireland, and they're walking around without jobs. And I'm going to do something about that, because I myself died for Ireland. And if necessary, I will die it again and again. And I also, when I'm re-elected again, I am going to build public lavatories the length and breadth of Limerick. And I promised that, and we will build urinals for the men and arsenals for the women. And I thank you. So there we are. So at least we had that sort of thing to amuse us. But when death did arise a lot, and as I said, I wrote a book called Death Need Not Be Fatal, and yeah, it's very, very, very funny, and I think you'd get a great kick out of it. But we had, if you go, a lot of people talk about Irish theatre and how good it is, but I always found that the courts were better. There was a fellow constantly up in front of Judge Hurley for being drunk and disorderly. And the judge said, the judge was also a heavy drinker, but nobody arrested him for being drunk and disorderly. So he's one morning peering, and he said, "What brought you here this morning?" And Gorky McMahon says, "2 policemen, sir." "Have you been up before me previously?" "I don't know, sir. What time do you get up?" And, "Oh, it's you," he said. Hey, so he dismissed the charge against him as usual. But so then one evening the judge had too much to drink, so he did not know where he had parked his car. So he looked around, and he had to get on a bus and go home. It was very, very rocky drive, and he threw up all over himself. So when he got home, he took off all his vomity clothes and threw them into the laundry basket and went to bed. And he woke up in the morning, just got his way into the kitchen to have the cup of tea, and then his wife went into the bathroom and found all the vomity clothes, and she said, "What happened to you last night?" And he said, I lost my car, and he said, "I had to take the bus, and this blanket got on, and he threw up all over me. But I've had him arrested, and he's going to appear before me this very morning, and I'm going to give him 3 months in jail for vomiting on me." And she said, "I'd give him 6 months. Why would I do that? Because he also took a shit in your underwear." But there was, so this guy, Gorky McMahon, the one that used to appear before him, used to go around Limerick, and he was a bit of a con man, so he'd often con poor English tourists into buying fake antiques. And you can always recognize English tourists. They go, they're very, very vulnerable, you see. So Gorky sees one of these guys going around. "Are you interested in antiques?" "Oh yes, very much so." Yeah. So Gorky brings him into this stable where he has pinned up a big sheet of very, very coarse sandpaper, and he launched into a paean of praise for this magnificent work of art that had just been pulled out from under the pyramids. And he said that it was an antique map of the Sahara Desert. And he sold it to him for £100. But then the police got wise to him, so he decided he better get off to England. So he did something that he had never done before, manual labor, because he always thought manual labor was the Spanish ambassador. And So he got on the bus anyway, and went to work one day, and he's all dirty and tired and sweaty because they didn't allow you shower on the job. And there was no seats, except there was one seat available and a guy with his dog seated beside him. So the conductor said to the man with the dog, would you kindly put your dog on your lap so this man can sit down? So the Englishman said, sad day for England when a dog has to give up its seat to an Irishman. So he moved the dog, and Gorky sat down, and not wanting to continue this civil war, he says, that's a very nice class of a dog you have there. He said, what breed would it be? And the Brit said, not giving an inch, he says, it's a cross between an Irishman and a baboon. That's so, says Gorky. Jesus, he's related to the both of us. So we did have a lot of fun, and particularly when people died, of course, that people brought out the best of food and the best of drinks, and so that was part. So death was not fatal in that sense, and we had. I wanted to. The reason when we found. We didn't know where my sister had died here. She was a little tiny little creature. And we often asked my mother where she was buried or what happened, and she didn't seem to know. She couldn't remember because she was so grief-stricken. But anyway, one of my sons who was in the PD here told us, he found out that she was buried in a pauper's grave in St. John's Cemetery in Queens, along with 23 other little pauper children. It was, a bad time in America in the 30s. And so we found out where she was, and we went out and we scattered my mother's ashes, Angela's ashes, on the grave. So the little baby, Margaret Mary, was reunited with her mother, because there she was for 75 years. Nobody ever came near, and we found her. And it was a nice thing to be able to do that. Baby and mother were united. And so I remembered a poem that Yeats wrote that I thought was appropriate for that. Where dips the rocky highland of Sleuthwood in the lake, there lies a leafy island where the flapping herons wake the drowsy water rats. And there we filled our fairy vats full of berries, of reddest stolen cherries. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar, from pools amongst the rushes that scarce could bathe the star, and there we seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears give them quiet streams from leaning out from ferns that drop their tears o'er the quiet streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world is more full of weeping than you can understand. Away with us he's going, the solemn eye. No more he'll hear the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, nor the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, nor see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest, for he comes, the human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, from a world more full of weeping than he can understand.
Bravo!
So I want to very sincerely thank you for supporting WBAI. And I have no formal. I left school when I was 13 because I was stupid, but I did, I failed every exam and so on. But the thing that saved me was reading. I became an omnivorous reader. And I have, for years, people have said to me, you know, you're a terrible liar. And I'm not. I'm very good at it. Because when you grow up poor like that, you are cunning and devious and manipulative, and that's me. And I have done that. But here I am talking to people, and some people dislike me intensely, and some say that you're stupid and arrogant and so forth. And I am to the left of Karl Marx, and politically, and I'm an atheist, thank God. And but that's all tolerated by WBAI. So I want to thank Ken and Donna and all the folks who organized this terrific evening. And we are fearful of war. And because this stupid arse, no, he's not a complete arsehole, Trump. There are some parts missing. But that's what he wants. But we're not going to allow that to happen. There are more of us than there are of them. This guy, that's what he wants, of course, is because everybody gets behind the warmongers, and well, we are not. We're going to boot the bastard out and send him. I don't know where we could send him. I think maybe to Iran. Yeah. That would be one of those places. So anyway, here's the greatest anti-war song ever written. I am not a singer, and I will prove it. Whilst going the road to sweet Athy, whilst going the road to sweet Athy, whilst going the road to sweet Athy, a stick in my hand and a tear in my eye, a doleful damsel I heard cry, Johnny, I hardly knew you. Sing the song, children, with your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, the enemy nearly slew ya. Darling dear, you look so queer, Johnny, I hardly knew ya. Where are the legs that used to run? Hurroo, hurroo. Where are the legs that used to run? Hurroo, hurroo. Where are the legs that used to run when you danced with me in the noonday sun? I fear your dancing days are done. Johnny, I hardly knew ya. Sing the song, children, with your guns and drums and drums and guns. Hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns. Hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, the enemy nearly slew ya. Darling dear, you look so queer, Johnny, I hardly knew ya. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, hurroo, hurroo. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, hurroo, hurroo. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg. You're an eyeless, chickenless, boneless egg. You'll soon be put with a bowl to beg. Johnny, I hardly knew ya. Sing the song, children, with your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, the enemy nearly slew ya. Landy, you look so queer, Johnny, hallelujah. They'll never take our boys again. They'll never take our boys again. They'll never take our boys again to turn them into fighting men. They'll never take our boys again. Johnny, I swear it to ya, with your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, the enemy nearly slew ya. Dear, you look so queer, Johnny!